ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Truth Podcast. My name is Neek Robinson. If you guys don't know me, I'm a little bit of a podcaster here on this platform, on YouTube, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasting app, whatever you want to call it. Also SoundCloud. So definitely go check out the podcast on all three of those platforms as of now. But yeah, today I wanted to bring up another topic today. It's just something that, is current in the news right now. And this is kind of what I do here on the Truth Podcast. If you guys are brand new listening in, it's your first episode. But something that I wanted to talk about today was actually about the Duke and North Carolina game. I thought that it was kind of interesting this past week. I'm going to pull up some stats here on my laptop actually, but this game, man, was it was highly anticipated. It actually took place on, if my computer's going to load here, it took place on Wednesday, February 20th, and this game I thought was very interesting because it was the Duke Blue Devils playing against the North Carolina Tar Heels, and Zion Williamson, the man, the myth, the legend. This guy is an absolute powerhouse in every way, shape, or form that you can imagine. This man probably could go from high school to the NBA if he really wanted to, but they don't really do that anymore. So it kind of sucks that it's like that, but we're going to kind of dive into the whole story behind it and everything. But the Blue Devils were, I believe, sitting at a 23-2 record before this game, so haven't been beaten very many times. And then the Tar Heels were sitting at, I'm assuming, a 22-5 record. But this game, I saw on Twitter actually. There was the stat of somebody posted, basically it was a stat saying that a couple days before the game actually started, that the tickets were going to be just south of $3,000 to be in attendance at the actual game, and that to me is absolutely absurd. $3,000 for a college basketball game, let alone any type of game, or that just seems very, very excessive to me. I do understand that this is a huge rivalry, and the Duke Blue Devils were sitting at number one in the country, and the Tar Heels were sitting at number 8. But man, bro, that to me is just insane that this can happen, that these tickets are that much. I could only imagine if I was a student. I can't remember where the game was held. I think that it was in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be tweaking. It might be at Duke. Yeah, I think it was at Duke. It's actually at Duke. But yeah, this game, man, I can imagine if I was a student at Duke, I would definitely sell my ticket, I think, to make some good money off of that ticket. If I had a student pass. I'm not too sure if any Duke fans watch my podcast, but if you guys get free tickets to the games, man, let me know, because that could have been a real big come up on that. And just selling those tickets, because it would have been a good game to watch, obviously, but I think that if you could have made some good money off of that, you probably could have sold your ticket for at least probably $2,000 or so. But I don't know if a lot of people have the money like that, but that's just insane thinking about that. But I don't know. Something that I wanted to touch on though with this podcast was the reason why I think that the tickets were $3,000 is because of Zion Williamson, and that's what I really wanted to touch on today. And it's crazy that this player, man, he's considered the next LeBron currently, actually, the next LeBron James. I think he's 6'8", and 280 or something crazy like that. This man is an absolute beast, man. Like, everybody knows who Zion Williamson is, obviously. Like, if you haven't heard his name, you will hear it in the very near future. But people were paying top dollar to see this man in action, and against a rival team, one of the biggest rivalries ever, really, in the country, and just overall all time. Sorry, there's like bugs out here and everything, so I'm like swatting at some stuff. But anyway, but yeah, man, I don't know. This Zion Williamson, man, this guy, man, he's so good in every aspect, like I've said earlier, but I don't know. I think that the NBA or NCAA or whoever, I think they need to relook at the whole situation of like going from high school to college, or high school into the NBA just straight, because I think that's something that's very, very, it happens a lot. And I think that there are some rare cases like Zion Williamson. That man's been absolutely just stacked since he was in, like, I want to say like junior year of high school even. And this guy is just, he's a force, man, and he has no business being in college, man. Like, the NBA just needs to give him his money already. Like, I don't know, the whole situation is just insane that that's still happening, and that's like the first thing that I wanted to touch on. But the second thing really was that I think that the NCAA needs to get over this hump of, not paying their players, because I think that the reason why, like I said earlier, the reason why that price tag of like $3,000 to get into this game was like that is because of Zion Williamson. And I think that you're very, very, you're almost dumb in a sense if you don't realize that. And I think that, Zion Williamson being the guy that he is, man, people are trying to get in to watch this guy, and that to me, somebody should be getting paid for that. Like he's bringing in fans, he's bringing in the views, and he's bringing in money to the organization, to the school, to the college, yada yada yada, and it's like he's not getting $1 for that. Granted, he is going to be going to the NBA next year, obviously, but thinking about, like, he should be getting paid now because he's bringing in so much money for that school, man. And like the views on all the Duke games that they probably receive every week just because, of who he is. I think that's messed up that, the NCAA isn't sharing the wealth and they have all these strict rules and regulations, man. I just think it's dumb. And, I hope that in the future that's going to change, because I think that the NCAA does have the money to pay all their players. And it's really like a full-time job too, man. And like, a lot of these players, they literally wake up probably like at 6 a.m. every day, and they go and work out with the team and have like designated lifting times and practices and like all this stuff. And it's a full-time commitment. And, it doesn't really give that much time for people to really go out and like live their lives or get an actual job. So it's like, if you're not going to be paying the people that are working their tails off, then, and they're bringing in all this money, then it's like, that's very wrong. And it's almost like a slavery type thing. But I mean, I understand they are playing the game that they love and everything else, but I don't know, man. I think that something needs to change with that, because it's really sad. But and then the last thing that I really wanted to touch on was this injury behind Zion Williamson. So obviously, like, if you guys haven't heard, obviously you're living under a rock, but Zion Williamson actually got hurt, and I believe like the first 30 seconds of the game against the Tar Heels. So imagine paying like $3,000 for that game to see Zion Williamson and he's out in the first 30 seconds. I'd be absolutely shocked. Basically what happened, if you guys don't know, but Zion Williamson did, he was wearing like a pair of, I believe, Kyrie's from Nike, and they like totally exploded on his foot when he planted his foot really hard off of a screen or something like that, or off of like a pivot foot or something crazy, and his shoe like totally tore out from under him, and he messed up his knee, I believe, and I think that I just saw the report today, and they were saying that his injury is day-to-day, so that's really good for that aspect, because this man deserves absolutely everything that's going to be coming to him here in the future, and it would suck if he would have had a really bad knee injury right there, so I'm not too sure what's going to happen with Zion right now, but, I'm assuming that he's going to just go day by day, take probably a week off or so, and then, get back out there and try to help the Blue Devils to more wins. These guys are definitely probably going to be sitting at the top 1 spot or top 5 spot around there for the rest of this year. I guarantee it. I'm not too sure what the tourney is going to look like for them, but I'm still thinking that they could probably pull out some more W's before the season ends and we get into March Madness and everything else. But this NCAA, I feel like, is one of my favorite things to watch, just because I'm a college kid, and it's a little bit more interesting than the NBA right now at this moment, just because I know who's gonna win the finals every year, and it's probably gonna be the Warriors again this year, So in the basketball aspect, watching the NCAA, it's a lot better than the NBA, but that's just my opinion personally. But yeah, man, I just kind of wanted to hop on here and talk about the things that are happening in the sports world with that. In this UNC and Duke game, I thought it was a good game, and the final score was actually 88. North Carolina and the Duke Blue Devils scored 72. So the Carolina Tar Heels actually ended up pulling out the W. So that was good for North Carolina for them to win. Very sad for the Duke Blue Devils losing Zion Williamson, but I think they'll be back better than ever, and they'll put it behind them, and then they'll keep getting their W's, and then they'll probably go on to win a ton more games and everything else. But yeah, man, this NCAA thing is crazy, man, and I wish the best of luck to Zion Williamson, really, and the entire Duke organization as well, because I really think that they could probably win the tournament this year if they play their cards right. But that the tournament is such an interesting thing, because March Madness, anything can really happen. Like, there's teams that pull off huge upsets that are like the 16th seed, and nobody even knows who they are, and they end up winning. That always happens every single year, so I know that's going to happen again this year. It never fails. But interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. Sorry if you guys don't like sports. About this week's podcast was all about that, but I just thought it was kind of interesting, especially on the money side of things, and paying $3,000 for a freaking ticket to a basketball game, and that's not even like the NBA Finals. I think I'd pay like $3,000 if I was going to like a courtside Laker game or something like that. But much past that, nah, I'm good on that. But let me know what the most money you would spend on a ticket to a game or a concert would be down below in the comments if you guys are watching on YouTube or whatever, or send me a DM. I'd love to know about that, because I just think that that's really fascinating. I really don't think that I'd spend more than like $100 on a ticket. I just think that that's very excessive, and I got better things to spend my money on, but these experiences, man, that you get going to these events, and especially if you do it with like your loved ones and everything else, it's a beautiful thing, man, and it's something that you guys can experience together or by yourself or whatever you want to do. but it's an interesting thing, man, and I think that a lot of stuff I wouldn't pay a ton of money for, but that's just me, I like to do other things with money, and I would rather like go on a vacation or something like that, especially if a ticket to a basketball game is $3,000. You can do a lot with $3,000, man, and I don't think that buying a basketball ticket is one of them, but that's just me. But I want to thank everybody for tuning into today's podcast, man. It's just kind of a little rant and just my thoughts on basically what happened with the Duke and North Carolina game. So if you guys are into these kind of podcasts, man, definitely subscribe to the Apple Podcast app, and let me know how I'm doing. Leave a review, whatever you want to do. Also, you guys can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Neek Robinson, and you guys can find the Truth Podcast on there. Also, you can check out SoundCloud. I believe that information is the same. I think that it's Neek Robinson. Just look me up, and it probably will come up on there. But yeah, man, that's really it, I think, for today. But I just want to thank you guys for sticking out with the podcast, man, and just supporting it all the way. And next week we'll be back with a new guest, so you guys can definitely look forward to that. But really, everybody, that's really it for today's episode. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in today, and I hope you guys have a great night, day, or whenever you're watching this or listening to this podcast. And yeah, see you guys in the next episode. So peace, everybody. Peace to the world. My name is Nick Robinson. We're out of here. Peace.